Hello, I'm going to make a response video here to Maddie D for Truth. I think that last video you made about the Howard Beach uh, murder is off track, and here's why. First of all, when you say that the Civilian Observation Patrol hasn't really solved anything, of course, that's to be expected. No group that's affiliated with law enforcement, hardly any of these groups actually solve problems and find the killers, who actually kills people within a week of doing it. So if you want to put it like that, no group solves anything. No group does anything except ask for donations. And that's the second thing. With the donations, once again, that's also to be expected. I mean, every group like that, the police departments themselves, the Police Benevolence Association, the Civilian Observation Patrol, the Civic Association, all these groups ask for donations regularly, all the time. So it doesn't really matter, if somebody gets killed or not. They're gonna ask you for a donation. About the girl's murder, they said that she fought and that her body was badly contorted, and not necessarily contorted, but I don't necessarily want to say these things, but I guess I should. They described a gruesome scene. She was found with her teeth broken, with her pants down, with her fists clenched, with her clothes scattered about. This is a classic scene of a murder slash rape, that was done by one of the drifters slash homeless people that live and hang out in these back weeds, in these back marshlands in South Brooklyn and in South Queens. If anyone here is familiar with South Brooklyn and South Queens, even other parts of New York City, there's marshes. It's a waterfront city. There's marshes and decrepit, derelict areas everywhere that look scary. There's a lot of areas like that, and people like me really believe that these areas are a problem. And the government and the city do nothing with these areas for years. They just let weeds overgrow in them, and they let it be a perfect place for people that are crazy and on drugs to camp out. Okay, when I do volunteer work in all of these marshlands, I mean, not only doing volunteer work there, thinking back, all the parties I've been at back there. I mean, the kids of South Brooklyn and South Queens live and party in the back of these marshlands, okay? And if you travel through them deep enough, you'll find camps, you'll find sleeping bags, drink containers, you'll find camps and leftover remains of where homeless people and drifters would have stayed. If you read the articles on my website, I relayed a story in one of the last articles I wrote, Esoteric America. I relayed personal stories of how me and my friends find decapitated animals, weird religious objects. You could hear strange chanting going on back there in these marshlands. A lot of weird stuff happens in these marshlands, people. So, seeing as how we have no evidence to believe that it's a PsyOps or a hoax, I believe that this could be one of the many other hundreds and thousands of murders that happen throughout this city and this country. For example, here's two stories off the top of my head in my personal life that some people may think or might think is a hoax straight off the bat, but it's not. I'll provide the links to these stories below, and you'll see if it's a hoax or not. One of the teachers that goes to my school was decapitated by her son. And then her son kicked the body into the street, and then all the neighbors thought it was just a Halloween decoration. Meanwhile, it was my teacher's, or one of the teachers at my school's decapitated body. That's number one. Number two, excuse me, I'm looking this way because I'm speaking into the microphone. So excuse me for that. But another kid I know named Timothy, I saw him at Fast Lane Studios, which is a music recording studio in Brooklyn. Me and all my friends went there, or me and some of my friends went there because there was a party there, a closing party because the studio was closing down. I saw this kid Timmy there at the Fast Lane studio party. I read in the news a few weeks ago that he turned up dead and his body was decomposing. Nobody knows why. They only found his body because the blood from his apartment was seeping below into the nail salon below. So then when they called cops to check if somebody died, sure enough, they found, or whatever the story was, they found his body after almost a week, or about a week, that he was decomposing and the blood was dripping down. So that's two personal stories that a lot of people here may think is a psyops or a hoax, but there's no evidence to show that at all. Okay, there's a big difference between a psychological operation, which is a planned operation usually done by military squads. Usually, I say. Not every single time. A psyop could be anything, but I don't think it's this. Psyops are usually planned, but I really believe that, this girl's death is genuine and that, like everything else, because they use everything at their disposal to manipulate us, that the powers that be are using this girl's genuine death to manipulate everybody. That's what I believe. I don't believe it's a psyop. I believe that the government and the powers that be are doing what they always do. Whenever they're not orchestrating a psyops or a false flag or a hoax, they'll just take real things that happen and use them for their agenda or use them to manipulate us. I don't know. I don't understand what's so hard, to understand about that. So that's really one thing. I mean, like here's a perfect example. Like this Wikipedia page, even though you can't really trust everything Wikipedia says, right? Yeah, this Wikipedia page is saying that a Somali boy holding up a leaflet dispersed during Operation Restore Hope in the early 1990s was a psyop. Because, now his picture's all over the news, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay? So when you look at this, it's either like a white, according to what they write here, the United States military-industrial complex and the government using this likely orchestrated picture of this Somali boy holding up a leaflet, this is a psyop. Because the government and the military-industrial complex used this picture and how the people thought about it to their advantage and to progress their agenda. Okay, that's easy to understand. That's why I believe this picture is a psyop as well. See this kid? Do you guys see this little bastard with this fucking Pikachu? This kid, these kids are PsyOps 101. This is PsyOps 101. Okay? Do you see this kid? This is PsyOps 101. This thing, this kid, right, is the same thing. Is the same thing as this, as you see right here. Okay? Pokemon Syrian kid? Somali leaflet kid. Somali leaflet kid? Syrian Pokemon kid. They're both psyops. Okay? But I don't think this girl getting like viciously raped and killed and like her body fucking strewn about and all that shit was like a planned thing. I really don't believe that was planned, and on top of that, there's really no evidence to believe that. Okay, I know tons of all right, if you want to speak about her father, okay? I know tons of people that volunteered for at Ground Zero, and they don't know shit. They don't care about shit. They just helped at Ground Zero cuz they felt it was the right thing to do. I know a lot of firefighters, I know a lot of cops. Most of them don't know shit and don't care about shit. I mean, come on. There's no way. Like, you really think this girl's father is in on it and lying to everybody? Saying that, yeah, my daughter was raped and her teeth were knocked out. Give us money. You know? I mean, all that GoFundMe money, so they're apparently trying to raise this money to increase, just to supplement it with the reward. Because the parents, you know, likely the mother is that desperate to find who did it. But, you know, I'm always such a gloom and doom person. I'm always a pessimist. I really believe that, like, they likely may not find who even did it unless he was arrested before and in the system already. Because, like, you know, if his fingerprints or DNA evidence was already taken. Because the person who did this is likely, you know, they could be an illegal immigrant, they could be a drifter, they could be a homeless person, they could be from anywhere, okay? They could have no identity, practically, okay? You know? I mean, really, I just, you know, think about it. I think the things you're saying are not only ridiculous and making everyone who's associated with you and you know, our ideas on YouTube look ridiculous. I mean, I think you're being incredibly insensitive. I mean, think about it. After Hurricane Sandy, the military and people in military uniforms and giant military vehicles were stationed right on Cross Bay Boulevard. Okay? After anything happens, there's always an increase in police or military presence all the time. You know, whether I agree with that or not is beside the point. That I don't believe that this is a psyop, okay? But I'll tell you right now, you must not be, you know, familiar with or acquainted with death if you really believe that events like this or every event or every other event like this is a psyop. I mean, really, there's no... come on. The chances are so unlikely that this is a psyop. I really can't believe that someone called this event a psyop. And the best part is, there's no evidence, Maddie. You know, if only, you know, Matt, if you had, like, evidence, or just, like, decent evidence, or, like, good evidence, I wouldn't have made this video. But since I really feel that there's no... that saying that this event was a psyop was like a baseless claim, I felt I had to make this video. Thank you very much for listening and taking the time.